everything that you don't accept about yourself will unconsciously be projected out into the world. It'll leak out into the world outside of you because you haven't yet accepted it as yourself. And if you want to become the person that you're meant to be, you're going to have to just accept all the little pieces that you find in the external world that resonate with you. Accept it and just become the thing that looks at you. And in this video, I'm going to really try to help you understand what I'm trying to say, and I'm going to explain it as best as I possibly. So you live inside of your mind. Your mind is being the lens that you see reality through. And the things that you don't accept within yourself, the true parts of yourself that you don't accept, they don't just go away. Because you don't accept them, they get projected outward because they're not accepted inward yet. So when you go throughout life and when you move about and you see things that are you see things and feel things out in the world that begin to resonate with you, some form of art, cooking, teaching, coaching, whatever. There's something that's calling you, and it comes with this sense of curiosity, but yet resistance. That is the thing that is true to you, because as you grow up, you are taught to learn, or you are taught that it's not okay to be yourself. So you always put yourself last. And because you put yourself last and you don't accept yourself, the thing that you don't accept gets thrown out into the world and gets projected unconsciously. So it feels like it's out of your reach. But it's just not accepted yet. And because it hasn't been accepted yet, you feel like you're broken, but you're not broken. You're just not fully integrated yet. I used to believe in the lie that I was broken and that somehow I needed some kind of fixing. But that wasn't the issue. The issue was that I was resisting myself. And because I was resisting myself, I would constantly fight with myself. My mind would just kind of take the lead. My mind was really chaotic, and I didn't really know what to do in life. But that is a result of not knowing the true pieces that make you a whole individual and running with it. Because a solid foundation of self comes with an acceptance of your true being. So it's really confusing. It takes a lot of effort to try to be someone else. It really does. It's tiring. It's mentally tiring to try to be someone else, to be the person that your parents, your teachers, or whoever is trying to tell you, this is who you have to be. But once you actually begin to find the pieces out in the world that represent you and begin to integrate them inside of your center with acceptance, then you think less, because now you're being more. You're being more of yourself. So I found that when you think more, you're less of yourself. When you think less, you're more of yourself, because you're being more than thinking. And that's one thing I really discovered that kind of just changed my life. I had a really hard time taking action because I was always in my mind constantly. But now that I'm just being more myself, I could just be on camera, not get distracted by fear, and just be me. So, I mean, enough of that. So, the deeper meaning that I'm trying to say is when you don't accept yourself fully, and if you're lost, or if you feel lost, you haven't accepted yourself fully. So, to help you with that, and if you want to find your way back home, piece by piece, step by step, look out into the world and see things that are whispering to you. At first, it's going to be a little tough because your mind it's loud, it's chaotic, and you just hear loud, a whole bunch of, the loud sounds of doubt, uncertainty, and a whole bunch of other, mess that you have inside your mind. But your spirit is more certain, it's more quiet, it knows what it wants, and it makes you feel more aligned. So if you begin to see things that kind of interest you, but in the same time push you away, that's a really good sign that that's a piece of you waiting to be integrated into your consciousness. And especially if it comes back over and over and over again. And to make this even more clear, I'm going to give you an example of my personal story about this. So when I first started off doing all this stuff, I didn't know what I wanted, right? So digging into this self-development, spiritual kind of thing going on, and I was lost. So when I first started off, or trying to start off, I knew I wanted to do something else. I was cutting hair. I'm still cutting hair. But I was just feeling lost. I had this sense of what I wanted to do, but it was super, super vague. But then I got into self-development and, spiritual stuff. I started to read books, but yet in the same time, I was resisting it. I was like interested, but then I just pulled back, like, oh, this is too much. But I was still coming back for more. And I just didn't fully accept it. That this is like really, really what I liked and this and that. And I had a whole bunch of beliefs that weren't aligning with me moving forward completely with, self-development and spiritual stuff and the things that I talk about in this video. And then time went on. I started to write, and I don't know exactly how I got into or how I got introduced into poetry, but I started to read little bits of it, and I got interested in it, and then I began to write it. But in the same time, I had a real big fear about poetry. I resisted it so much. And then one day, I just couldn't take it anymore because my mind kept on wanting to go back to poetry, to read poetry, to do all this spiritual dives of knowledge, and just coming back for more, but yet still resisting it. And mind you, I never thought of myself as someone who was poetic. I never liked poetry when I was younger. And but it was just always there. And my curiosity led to one foot moving, just one foot after another, and just moving towards poetry more and more with every curious step. And it just felt like me. It made me more aligned. One day I just fully accepted it, and it felt like a giant relief. Like a huge relief. Like I just stopped fighting with myself finally. Or at least a big part of it was just it felt like there was a battle ending within me. Like I just stopped fighting myself so much. And I felt more aligned, and I started to write more poetry. And it just felt great. So the spiritual stuff and me liking poetry, it all had the same thing in common. I liked it, but yet I resisted it, and there was a hint of fear behind them. And one thing about fear is that I began to understand was fear is actually the guardian of your truth. behind fear is the person that you're meant to be. That's why it's so scary. Because if you were to become the person that you're meant to be, you would become your true self. And it's scary to become your true self because you become vulnerable. Because now you have to show up for yourself. And it feels like any criticism will be taken at heart. And I've done some of the work, the internal work, and it really does work. And the main ingredient to make all this, like whatever I'm saying, happen and really do something for you in your life is to become present. And I've said it all over my videos. If you become present, you become more of yourself. Because when you become present, you get out of your mind, you stop believing or you stop being the script itself because you're out of the mind and you begin to see the script. You become awareness at that moment, seeing the scripts, the beliefs that are non-compatible with the life that you want, everything that is stopping you from getting what you want, from thinking the way you actually want to think. And presence does that. It momentarily takes you away from all the scripts, the things that you like stubbornly identify with. It loosens them up and creates change. So presence will begin, with presence you'll begin to feel the subtleties of the spirit within you. You'll begin to feel the little spiritual nudges that are constantly knocking on your mental door, telling you, look, this is a piece of you. Instead of just ignoring it and listening more to your mind, if you become present, you'll begin to listen more to your spirit and less of your mind. And you'll eventually take a step back home to the center of your being, where you begin to integrate all these things out into the world, whatever they may be for you. For me, it was poetry. For you, it might be cooking. It might be